Hello, my name is Ryan Hanley, and welcome to the Virtual Insurance Marketplace. Today we're going to be talking about blogging, and not so much the technical how-to blog or why you should be blogging, but rather what it takes to actually have a successful blog. Okay, I'm going to outline 5 stages of a successful blog, and the 5 things, the processes, procedures that you need to be going through, the things that need to be in your head when you're creating your blog or whatever content it is that you're creating. And we'll touch on all of that. But first, a little bit about myself. Again, my name is Ryan Hanley. I'm an independent insurance agent for the Murray Group Insurance Services. We're located in Albany, New York. We are a 15-person family-owned agency, and I'm a producer for that agency. I also write for a blog that I created myself, www.ryanhanley.com. And there I talk about the different marketing practices that I use in my insurance business to sell insurance, mostly online. So a lot of the content that we talk about here today, you can find in bits and pieces spread out throughout my website. And you can also visit ryanhanley.com/blogging, BLOGGING, and I have a free ebook you can sign up for and get, and it will talk about a lot of the social media stuff that goes along with blogging that we're not going to discuss today here at the Virtual Insurance Marketplace. So again, I want to thank you, and with all that being said, we're going to get right into the content of today's presentation. So what are the 5 stages of a successful blog? And when I say blog, I don't necessarily just mean a WordPress hosted blog where you write, or something that you have integrated maybe on your HTML website. We're talking about anywhere where you create content. So that can be you could have a small microblogging format like Tumblr. So if you don't want to go into all the extravagancies of a self-hosted blog, you can look into microblogging on a format like Tumblr. You could go to WordPress.com and have a free hosted blog there. You could write articles that you just produce and put on a platform like Google+. There are a lot of different formats that you can use to blog. So all the concepts that we talk about today don't necessarily pertain to just one form of blogging. You could do a video blog. You could primarily just use YouTube and YouTube's channel as a way to produce content and not have any long format written content. You could send everyone to your YouTube channel if you wanted. So when you're thinking about the stages that we're going to go through, the things that we're going to talk about today, don't think of them in terms of just your kind of boilerplate standard blog. This is a method for having a successful content creation system, for driving people to your content and converting them into leads that you hopefully can sell and create new business. I have been doing this for 3 years. So on my website for our agency, the Murray Group, which is MurrayGRP.com is our website. So we have many of these practices that we're going to talk about today. I implement there. Many others I put into ryanhanley.com, and so these are things that I've used. So we're not going to talk about things that I read in some book and I'm just delivering to you and regurgitating to you. These are things that I've actually done. So I'm going to try to interject as much of my own experiences as I can into this presentation so that you can kind of see them working in the real world. But I don't want you to feel pigeonholed into buying a domain name, setting up WordPress, buying a WordPress theme, and all that goes into that. That can be a little overwhelming, and I completely understand that. So what I want you to understand is as we talk about the 5 stages to having a blog that converts traffic into leads, I'm not necessarily just talking about your traditional blog. So we'll move on from that. So whatever format you're using, this is how I would apply these. So stage 1 of your content creation of your blog is going to be actually that, creating content. You need to have something out there. So what does that mean? Where do you get ideas? That kind of stuff. On the Murray Group website, we on January 2nd, we launched a video series called 100 Insurance Questions Answered in 100 Days. Basically, what I did was I called clients, I listened to clients, I sent some Facebook and Twitter messages out, I emailed some other clients, and I just said, send me your questions about insurance. What are the questions that you have about insurance that you would type into Google? And I got a lot of responses back. I actually got probably 70 or so questions. Some were duplicates, and we weeded those out. So what I did was I said to myself, as independent insurance agents, as you know, we're going to have a really hard time competing in search results with the mass marketers and the direct writers. They just spend too much money for terms like insurance or life insurance or auto insurance. Those terms, they spend tens, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars to make sure that they show up top. So what I thought, and what I hope that you will consider, is don't compete for those terms. Because in reality, very few people are just typing life insurance into a Google search. They're typing, how much insurance should I buy? Should I buy insurance on my kids? Is my employer-sponsored life insurance plan enough to protect my family? So you want to take questions, take content that you see every single day, everything you do. You had to go to training for, you've had to experience to become a master at. The standard John Smith on the street who needs a life insurance or an auto insurance or a home insurance or a business insurance policy does not know what you know about insurance. So when you think about your content, bring it down to the level of someone who has no idea. And I'm sure once you do that and you look around your office, you'll see hundreds of topics, thousands of topics, silly things like, how does my credit score affect my insurance premiums? Should I pay my premiums on an annual basis, quarterly basis, or monthly basis? And does it affect the way that, am I being charged anything more? And you can go into different payment structures. And that way, that type of content is building people's expectations for when they meet with you. So if someone reads a blog post about how you have, how they're going to pay $30 less a year on their insurance by paying it in 2 payments or 4 payments versus paying monthly, well, when that person walks into your office, they're going to say, well, I'd rather, I want to save that $30, I want to pay quarterly, and that's better for you. That's less hassle with cancels for non-pay and things of that nature. So as far as creating content, you have to do it. It has to be a priority if you want to have a successful online presence. I don't know how to put it any other way than that. I think you can very easily look around your office, talk to your clients, and come up with content. If you really need ideas, you can always email me, and I have some other strategies for coming up with content, but we can discuss that offline. So you need to have content, and the content needs to be consistently posted. I'm very busy. I'm a producer in a small agency. I make time to do it. You can make time to do it. It's basically that simple. I don't want to be rude, but anyone who says they don't have time to produce a blog post is essentially saying that their online presence is not important to them. And that's okay. If your online presence is not important to you, then you are wasting time by producing blog posts. But if it's something that you want to go after, if you want to be seen in your community as having a strong online presence, as a place where people can go as a resource, you need to do these things. So stage 1 is creating the content. Once you have the content, the next stage is building relationships. And this isn't an easy thing to do. So these 5 stages sound relatively simple, but I don't want any misconceptions that all these things are easy. They take time, they take patience to do. So after you've created the content, you have a website, if you're starting from zero, you have 3, 4, 5 blog posts, the next thing to do is start to build relationships. How do you build relationships? So go out into the community. I was recently contacted by an agent just a few days ago, and she sent me an email. She said, I'm just getting involved in social media. I really want it to be a priority for 2012. I created a Facebook page, but I only have 4 likes, and I don't know how to get more. And my advice to her was, find every commercial client that you have that has a Facebook page and like their page. Like their page, leave them a little message, tell them you enjoy doing business with them, and leave a link and ask them to come back and like your page. That's a completely legitimate thing to do, is to log onto their page, say, hey John, it's been a pleasure doing business with you. I'm great to see you got a great Facebook page here. We just created ours and I'd love you to come back and like mine. And there is a very, very good chance that they're going to do that. Okay? So now you're drawing your clients into your Facebook page. You're linked up. You like theirs. They like yours. Both of your content is showing up in their screen. You're building an online relationship with them. Okay? And you can use that same methodology for LinkedIn and Twitter and all these other things. And if your clients have blogs of their own, if they have their own web presence, go to that blog. Read what they're writing about. Comment on it. Bring them back, form a relationship with them, saying, showing them that you want to have that online relationship, that you're here, that it's something you're going to focus on, and that you're going to help them, and they can help you. And you start to draw those relationships in. So once you have relationships, again, this is going to be the snowball effect. It's going to start out very slow. It's going to feel like nothing is happening, and then another person will consistently come to your blog, and you'll start to see that people start leaving comments. Okay, once people start leaving comments on your blog, you've reached stage 3. Stage 3 is engagement. Engagement is where people are not just reading your blog and moving on, but they're starting to interact with your blog. So they're clicking your like buttons, they're leaving comments, they're sharing your information on social media outposts like LinkedIn and Twitter. They are potentially emailing you to do a guest post, or asking you to do a guest post on their blog. They're engaging with you. So you've gone from just having content on a page to content that people actually engage in. There's a little bit you'll see, and this is, if you haven't gotten to this point yet, that's perfectly fine, but what you'll start to see is a little bit of a community starts to develop. People show up and want to talk about what you're talking about. They want to interject their questions, their comments, their experiences, and you have an engaged format. Again, all this takes time. Once you have an engaged audience, the next thing you need to do is capture subscribers. So now you need to not only get these people are engaged, now you need to ask them to sign up for your newsletter, to sign up for your RSS feed. If you're not familiar with an RSS feed, Google it. It's a very simple concept, but essentially it's a way of viewing having blog posts, the posts that you put out, automatically sent to them either by email or through a service like Google Reader, or Microsoft Outlook has an RSS feed. You want them to subscribe. When I talk about subscribers, I'm talking about people who connect with you on Twitter, connect with you on LinkedIn. They subscribe to your YouTube channel. You may not have all these things, but all these things are subscriptions. They're people who are connecting with you beyond just engaging in your website. So they've said, okay, I enjoy your blog, I enjoy your website, I want to connect with you and subscribe to what you do on a longer basis. And just as a side note, I can't, and this will probably be a good topic for another virtual insurance marketplace presentation, if it's not already, it may be a good one for next year, is how important newsletter subscribers are. The people who subscribe to your newsletter. You need to have a newsletter, and you need to be capturing the people who come to your website onto that newsletter. And there's a lot to that, and it's not for this topic, but it's something to think about. So now you've created content, you've built relationships, you have engagement on your website, you have people subscribing to your services, to your newsletter, to your RSS feed. They're friends with you on Facebook, they've liked your page, they've connected with you on Twitter, all that stuff. Now you need to convert them into leads. Okay? This is where the rubber kind of meets the road with this entire blogging thing. And really, converting people into leads is a psychological process more than it is anything else. Okay? And when you follow these 5 stages that we've talked about, the last stage being converting them into leads, you'll see that each stage is a little higher jump of a psychological barrier. So you create content and people come and look at your content. Okay, that's a very low psychological barrier for someone to jump. You build a relationship with someone. Now that person has said, okay, I'm willing to visit your website and maybe leave comment or whatever, and that's a little higher. You've reached the engagement part. People are starting to engage, and the psychological barrier is a little more. They subscribe to your newsletter. That's a little higher barrier because now they've given you access to their email address or their physical address or access to their social media platforms. And they wouldn't be doing those things if they weren't interested in your topic, they didn't trust you, that the information you were going to deliver had value, and they didn't want that connection. They wouldn't subscribe if they didn't want that connection. So you've steadily brought them up the chain of psychological barriers. So when it comes to converting leads, it's the largest barrier for someone who visits your website to hurdle. So the most important thing, and really when we get all these things, the most important thing that you need to remember to do is very simple, and it's you have to ask. Okay? You have to ask them to become clients of yours. You have to tell them what you do for a living. You can't just put information out and leave it at that and expect them to make the connection between, I have content, I want you to be my client. You have to ask them. Remember to ask them for the business. Okay? Put on there, if you want an auto insurance quote, if you're interested in a proposal, I'm perfectly willing to do that. Call this number, click this button to contact us. Okay? It is okay to ask for the business online. Now, you can't make your entire article about the ask. Your entire blog post cannot be about them having to do business with you, okay? But, there needs to be that informational aspect. You need to build up the trust. You have to build the 4 stages before you get to stage 5. But when you're at stage 5, when you have people that are engaging, subscribing, you've built this little community, you have relationships, ask for the business. Tell them that you write restaurants and that you have the best restaurant insurance program in the southeastern United States and that they'd be crazy not to do business with you. Tell them why your program is so good. Okay? Don't be afraid to give up little intimate details because that is what's going to connect them with you. That's what's going to get them over that last psychological barrier. It seems silly, right? I mean, you're probably sitting there saying, Ryan, if all I had to do is ask, why would I go through the other stages? It's because if you go from stage 1 to stage 5, people are not going to take that leap. You haven't built them up into it. You haven't built the trust. You haven't built the relationships, the engagement. People aren't subscribing to your content. They're not going to respond to the ask. But once you get to that 5th stage, once you have all these things happening, then you can ask and then you're going to see results. And now, once you've drawn out this process, I mean, this may take 6 months, it may take a year. But when you get to that point, you're constantly adding new people into the process and pulling people who've been there out of the process. It's like any other sales pipeline. Some people are going to take longer, some people are going to take shorter. You may have people that can just read your content and want to do business with you. That may be the case. But I'll say that the majority of the people are going to want to, at a regular interval, kind of walk up these different stages. And when they get to stage 5, if they get to stage 5 and you ask for that business, you give them a legitimate reason to ask for that business, they're going to do business with you. At least some of them will. And then it'll be up to you to close the deal. But going through this process, you will see that things happen. They'll catch you off guard, but people will contact you. And if you ask and you make the ask easy, you make the format simple and clean, I promise you, you're going to see results. So those are the 5 stages of turning traffic into leads. Remember, it does not matter whether your blog is a microblogging format like Tumblr, an extravagant WordPress, hosted, premium theme, or self-hosted. It doesn't matter the format. What matters is that you buy into the 5 stages and that you walk the people who visit your website through those 5 stages. And as long as you remember that the more content you put out, the more people are going to be able to find you, the more people who are going to connect with you, and you should have a lot of success. So I want to thank you for listening to this presentation today. This is the virtual insurance marketplace. It's my first time. I know I wasn't with the organization last year. I didn't give a presentation last year, but it's an absolute pleasure to be here. I'm very happy to be able to present this information to you. I'm always available for follow-up questions. So if anybody has questions, please don't hesitate to email me. Come check out my website. Make sure you root around the virtual insurance marketplace because there's a lot of great stuff here. There's a lot of great presentations. I want to, I'm very appreciative of the opportunity, and I wish you all the best. So again, remember, 5 stages of turning traffic into leads, create content, build relationships, create engagement, obtain subscribers, and convert.